Most days at 1:10 we will have music. At least Monday, Wednesday, Friday you will have music. On Tuesday at 1:10 you will do astronomy with me. On Wednesday, music. On Thursday, astronomy will happen early, so that will be our time for Latin at 1:10. Friday, music. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, music. Tuesday, astronomy. Thursday is that Latin period. Astronomy will be earlier. All right, I know that's a little confusing. So music, okay, music is taught by Mrs. Doherty. She is amazing, and she trains the voices of the children at Veritas in such a lovely way. You will also be doing violin as part of your music course, and so everyone will be responsible to take care of, take home, bring back to school. Probably we will keep those in our lockers, your own violin. So Mrs. Doherty will explain all of those rules and regulations to you about violin and music class on her own. Music is taught in the gym this year, so there's more space to spread out. And while you are away at music class on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I will be next door in Mrs. Smith's 7th and 8th grade doing science with those guys. So let's go ahead and take this time to talk about science. At Veritas, this is one of the things I am most geeked out about, is that I am the science teacher for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grades. Can you believe it? So that's 4 different science books that I get to teach to each of the years that we're in. So for 5th and 6th grade, the 2 science topics that we do are biology and astronomy and earth science. In the 7th and 8th grade, we will cover chemistry and physics. So when you are away at music class, I will be teaching physics with the 7th and 8th graders. Now, the curriculum that I've chosen is this science, name the science for the logic stage. So once you have mastered how to use these books, then you're set for all 4 years. So let's cover a few of the elements that are involved in the science books so that you can master it as quickly as possible. The structure of each of the 4 science books that we do in 5th through 8th grades is exactly identical. So I will use this astronomy and earth science book to show you what it's like each week and what a unit will look like for science. But just know that the biology book and then later in 7th and 8th grade, the chemistry and physics books are laid out exactly the same way. So once you have learned how to do it in this book, you can follow the same protocols, the same procedures, the same study habits in later years as well. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, science is taught in the classroom. Tuesdays will be a day of lecturing. I take the lecture material from the Kingfisher, the DK, and the Usborne science encyclopedias. So depending on what topic we're studying, I will use one or more of these books to create a lecture for the class to study that new topic. On Tuesdays as well, there's new vocabulary to start memorizing, and of course the notes from the lecture to take. So let's open the book and see what it looks like. Here is Unit 1, Outer Space, for this particular book. Unit 1, and then the very first section within each new unit is a place to write definitions of vocabulary that we will collect throughout the weeks when we are studying this unit. It's typically 2 or 3, maybe 4 words for each week, and then when the unit exam happens, we will have to have all of those words memorized by the end of the unit. So how do you know which words are for which week? Well, here is week number 1. And in week number 1, it will tell you down here under vocabulary and memory work, the vocabulary, oh look, just 1 word for week 1. So we will spend time in class filling in the definitions. All of the definitions happen to be in the back in a glossary. But we will copy them down and collect them on this page at the beginning of the unit. So for week 1, the only word you need to memorize is the definition for universe. And then there's other memory work to do. Work on memorizing the types of stars. And the types of stars can be found in the very back of the book in a created list. Trying to find, here we go, types of stars. So we will break these up over the weeks of the unit and memorize a couple of stars each week. Then inside our notebook as well, so that's the memory work. You see that there's a day for a sketch. On Thursday when we do science, we will fill in the sketch and experience what that is helping us to understand. On Thursday as well, there will be an experiment, or some of these are actual experiments where we can make a hypothesis and test for results. Others are really just experiences. They don't actually follow the scientific method, but they are always written up with the scientific method in mind, where we can have our materials and our hypothesis, the procedure that we will follow, a place for our observations, and our results, and a place where we can discuss what our conclusions are after experiencing that experiment. Also, for 1 week at a time, there are a few questions, the answers of which come from the lecture. So I will write on the board while we have our lecture and discussion the things that you need to know, and then we will double check that the answers to these questions are all on your note page. Now, then you get to study those things. So that's 1 week. In 1 week, you have vocabulary to learn, a sketch to understand, an experience or an experiment in class, and lecture notes. The following Tuesday, we will have a quiz on all of those things from the previous week. Yes, there will be questions on the quiz from the lecture notes. These are important to study, and you will study them at home. Sometimes there will be a sketch. I will make sure you know. Most of the time, the sketch is just for your own experience, and it doesn't show up on the quiz specifically, but the sketches always help us understand better. The vocabulary will always show up on the quiz. So vocabulary and notes are what you should spend the majority of your at-home study time working through, because the quiz will show those things. Then after a few weeks, so here we've got week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, by the time we are done in this particular book with week number 5, then we will begin to be ready to start a new unit. But before we begin a new unit, we will take a test on all of Unit 1. So that means those memorizations and the work that you did for each quiz each week will then help you study faster for the test that includes all of those weeks worth of material. So you keep your quizzes, even if you do poorly on the quizzes, keep them, because they will help guide your study for the unit tests. I will give you a study guide before the unit tests, which will also help you highlight, but it is up to you to do a lot of memorizing and a lot of work on these question and answers from the lecture at home to be prepared for not only those weekly quizzes, but also those unit tests that happen every few weeks. Sometimes 5 weeks, sometimes 6 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks. Each unit is a different length. So that is how to study and do science at Veritas Classical Academy.